Okay, so today we will cover the rest of the part of the database migration service. So last time we covered almost all the theoretical concept. So you guys clear on that? What is the DMS? How we can use that for the database migration? Any doubts on that?
No doubts.
Okay. So you might get the opportunity to work on the database migration service for the any database kind of migration. That not be the frequent but very rare case where the organization or the project want to shift their infrastructure from the on-premises or any other cloud to some other clouds like AWS something. Okay, so what things we required? Theoretical part I will not cover again, so which we already covered on the last past video. Okay, so today we will try to set up the practically what things we require for the DMS database migration service. So this is just purely database migration service in the AWS. Okay, so what things we require? Three components here. One, source. Okay, then mediator, which will handle the source data and process and transfer data to target. Okay, this is you can say as a DMS here as a mediator, and your target is these three things we required. Okay, so in our case, what is our source? We have a MySQL. You can consider this as a on premises. Okay, on premises MySQL is server which is installed on the EC2 instance, and we will create one database here. In that database, we will create one table. Okay, and in the table we will store some records. This is our source setup. Okay, now in the target, sorry, in the mediator, which is the DMS, what we required endpoints. In the endpoint, what we required source connection and target connection. Target source DB and target DB connection details. Okay, and we need to make sure networking part as well. Okay, just remember these things because network connectivity should be there. So apart from endpoint, what we required DMS replication instance, which will handle to process your take your data from the source and transfer to your target. Okay. Then once we configure the endpoints for the source and target, then the DMS instance for the replication job, and then finally we need to create the DMS replication task. In task, we can mention that like it should be load like full load. चले जाता क्या? So we can define in that task you required full load. Okay, full load means your one time migration, one time or incremental changes. You mean live migration. In live migration, one time full load will happen. Okay, but after that, any incremental changes come on the source database, it will automatically handle by this DMS task, and it will replicate the changes to the target database. Right. So now coming to the target, what we required RDS instance. Okay. So in the real-time cases, that RDS instance should be in the private subnet, which we normally configured a secured way. Okay, but for this practical session, because we want to show you from the local host, our laptop to connect the database and just show the database records which migration happen. Okay, so that is the reason only for the practice purpose we will keep in this public one, but in the real-time setup you can just make it as a private here. Okay, then we will have definitely credentials, and from our local machine we can use MySQL client. to check the connectivity and rest of the DMS migration status check. So whatever the data records from the source that should be available on this target so that we can check after the complete setup. Okay. So here one more thing which I just forgot. So apart from the MySQL setup, then your creation of the DB name, table name, records, right? So we also required credentials. So you need to create one database user which has, let's say, full permission, for example, full permission with the remote access. Okay. So in the database, there are number of layer of security. So when you create any users, I will show you the query. So in that MySQL query, you can mention like which particular user want to access from which any instance, any EC2 instance or DMS instance like that. So we can give, if you give a percent mark there in the query, so that means that user can able to log in from anywhere where the access is available. Okay. If not, you can also restrict it to specific IP address as well for that particular user. Okay. So I will show you that practically. So for now, before start practical, any questions from these three components?
No, sir.
Okay.
सर सिर्फ अपन ये आरडीएस के लिए मतलब आरडीएस अपना एडब्ल्यूएस में हुआ ना, तो फिर दूसरा अजूर वगैरह इसमें टारगेट ग्रुप रख सकते हैं क्या वैसा?
अजूर वगैरह ना?
हाँ.
यस, कनेक्टिविटी वगैरह है ना, तो you can just migrate that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So that part I have not covered. I mean, I never tried, but you can just check about this, how we can achieve
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So now, what things we required? So we will create the EC2 instance, then MySQL on the top of that, and we will do this setup. Then side by side, we can just create this RDS instance because it will require at least 5 minutes or something like that to set up completely fully active. And in that, then we can create this DMS. Okay. So let's start quickly. So let me just I can give the name demo db source. Okay. And quickly just Ubuntu. Then your this one latest one. Then instance type T2 micro, which is fine. Login key pair. I will not create new one now. I will go with this my existing key pair. Data setting. I will select my custom VPC. In your case, if you don't have custom VPC, you can go with the default one. No issues. For now, I will go with this public subnet. No issues. Security group, I will select existing one, which I have created. And then rest of the things are fine and just launch it. So for now, we just created EC2 instance here. So side by side, what I can do is I can create one RDS instance as well. Okay. So it will, we will save the side by side timing there. So quickly just jump to your RDS service, click on instance. And already I just today morning I tested this one, but I will create one new one for you. Demo instance. Standard. Okay. MySQL. I will go with the default version, whatever is available 8.035. Then here I will not going to create the multi-AZ cluster. I will go with simple single DB instance. Database identification means database name, your server name. I can make it as a, for example, demo DB target. Okay. And username will be by default admin, and password will be automatically created and stored in the secret manager. Okay. I will not mention here manually. And instance type, I can go with this minimum one, T3 micro, which is sufficient for us. Storage class, I will just go with this general purpose SSD and keep minimum only 20 GB disk space here. Don't create larger one unnecessary. It will get the bill. Okay. And storage auto scaling, I will just disable this, which we don't require for this. VPC is important here. Select your custom VPC which you want to use. Okay. So I just select the ND VPC. In your case, if you don't have, you can just select the default one. For now, I just said we can just test from our local machine. So I can make it just public accessible. Yes. And then security group, you can create a new one or select existing one here. So I can go with this, my default one here. And these are the fine. In additional configuration, if you want to do, you can just disable this monitoring because it's and include some additional charge. So I don't require now. In additional configurations, if you want to create any database name by default, you can mention. Otherwise, just keep it. I don't require any backup for now. This is just a one-time practical session, so I don't require. But in real-time cases, you can just enable this backup. Okay. And this is fine. Enable termination. I'm just disabling it now. I don't require for and just create one. Okay, so this also required a couple of minutes here. So meantime, what we can do is we can go to our EC2 instance, demo DB source, just get the IP address. Okay, and from putty, you can just add the connections like IP address, then key pair. This one. I will add the by default username here. And appearance, I can change the font size. So you can see properly. Accept. Okay. So here I don't need to require to add the username. Okay, it will automatically consider. So first thing what we can do is normally apt update. Okay. Then if you want to upgrade it, you can just do it that as well. Will quickly happen. This is just to maintain the latest version of this package. Similar like in Windows, we do a Windows update, right? So same thing. If you get confusion anywhere, just let me know because this is the one of the important migration project. So feel free to ask any question if you get. In resume also you can just mention like database migration project. If someone ask like you how much data size you have migrated, you can say because migration process will happen same process whatever the we are just creating now. So you can just mention like 1 GB or 10 GB something. Depend on the size, the load will take time. So but that doesn't make like it will take like 2 hours, 3 hours something. It will happen quicker. Okay. So our server is ready. So what things we need to install here? MySQL, right? And the source component, EC2 instance, we need to install the MySQL. So last time we already record this commands here. I think I already shared this document, but still I will just share on the our group as well and just execute it. Yes. This is just to install the MySQL server, and it will automatically restart your MySQL service. Okay. So next thing, we need to log into our MySQL prompt like this. MySQL-u root. By default, password is none. You can set up it later for the root, okay, for the to maintain the more security. But for now, I am just skipping that part. So here, if I use query show databases, okay. So as of now, these are the default database, okay. So let me mention the query as well here. Create database. Okay, before that, you can just use show databases query, okay, just to check the database. Then let me create this data migration, right? And just execute this query here. Database has been created. If I just show you one more time, show databases, you can see now DB migration has been created, okay? If I want to use DB migration and execute the query, show tables. So there are nothing, okay? It's completely blank database now. So what I can do is I have collected some query here. I will give you this documentation now, so don't worry. So just run this query properly, okay? Don't copy this from the till MySQL. Only copy till here, okay? Create table, right? So here, just execute this, enter. So if I show now, show tables, you can see one student's name table is created, okay? But there is no records. So now what I can do is select star from DB migration dot students. Okay, so there is no record, right? So I can create this record now with this name like John Smith वगैरह. So this is just a dummy data. I'm just adding the student name here, right? So now if I run this command again, show select वगैरह, so you can see the ID 1, 2, 3 and student name. Okay, John Smith, James Smith alias वगैरह, right? So now we have created EC2 instance data. On that we install the database. In that database we log in it with the root. We created the database migration database in a student as a table name, and these are the 3 records, right? Any doubt still now?
No doubt.
So I have mentioned all the step by step here, so you can just follow that. So now from the database side we almost ready. Just one more thing, just make a note of this here. So let me come out from this database \q, okay, to come out. Run the command net stat -tlup, and this is just to check the listen of port number, okay. This is not by default install, so let me install it. Net tools, okay. Now if I run this command again, you can see here MySQL port number 3306 running, but running on local, right? 127.0.0.1. We consider as a loopback IP na localhost. So that means this database server will not able to access from outside this EC2 instance. Only local host will work. But in our case, what we required that database should connect from the DMS instance. So what things we need to change here? So we need to go to the MySQL configuration. So there is one setting for the bind IP address that we need to change 00, okay, which means public one. So in this path, MySQL conf, okay, And here we have a, so this step I will add here if I forgot. Okay. Let me check here. Okay, what I can do is I will add after this installation, right? So you can do this right after that. I will add enable remote access for MySQL. Okay, and cd this path, then this vim this file. Okay, and here okay, I have not given the file name here, vim and file name, right? Here just print the line number. You can print the line number, shift colon set nu set numbers. Okay, and here just search. How you can search now? Forward slash bind. Okay, so you will here line number 31. So how you can jump to the line number 31 now? Shift colon 31. Okay, so you need to replace this IP address. Instead of this local, you can make it public one. Okay, 000. So let me copy this. All right, and then shift colon WQ for save the file. Right. So here don't confuse. Save and exit file. Right. Press escape. Shift colon. Right now, restart MySQL. Okay, I will add here restart MySQL service. How you can restart? systemctl restart MySQL. All right. So now if you can check netstat -tlupn, you can see now it's open for public, right? Still, AWS has an additional layer of security, which is you can control in the security group. Okay, we have made it here 00. That doesn't mean anyone can access. No, if you open MySQL port in the security group, then yes, the person who has access, he can access from anywhere. Okay, that is the additional layer of security. So that you need to maintain in the security group. So now one more thing required. We required one user, right? As we discussed. So let me log into the MySQL prompt here and let me create one user. Okay, I already mentioned here. Create DMS admin here. This is the query, and which things I mentioned, right? And percent here, percent mark. So that means you can access this user from anywhere, any location, right? If you mention specific IP address, then only that specific IP address will allow to log in to the MySQL. So this is just a creation of user. Now give the, for example, full permission. So this is just a format to give the full permission of this database, a user. Star means database and table. So all the database inside that, all the tables give the full permission, right? So this is just for the practical, just make a note. For the real time, we can give the restricted permission. So there are multiple MySQL queries available on the YouTube or any blogs. You can just go through that if you want to learn additionally. Okay. Otherwise, you don't require. So we are almost good now. So just make it replicate these changes by this flush privileges. And we are good on the source database now, right? Now coming to this part is not required. I just added as additional note. Okay. So now our RDS is almost ready now. See, you can see the details. DMODB target, right? And our instance almost ready. Now coming to this mediator, which is the DMS. So search DMS service here, database migration service. Let me open it in the new tab. Just scroll down a little bit. Here you will see this migrate data. Okay. So here you can see endpoints, database migration task, replication instance, which we discuss here. Here, right? Endpoints, DMS instance, and DMS task. So first, what we need to require here, replication instance. Okay. So let's go to that because it will take some time to set up. Just simply click on create replication instance. Same as EC2 kind of. Okay. Give the replication name like demo db replica. Okay. Demo db replica. And here instance type. Okay. Instance type you can go with this minimum one T3 micro. Just remember here, this is just a mediator. Okay. DMS instance. But just keep a note, if you have a very small chunks of data on the source database which you want to migrate, then you can just consider as a mid-scale instance type like T3 medium or something. But let's say you have a very large scale amount of data like 100 GB or something. So to handle this large kind of data during the migration, your mediator should be strong, right? So in that case, you can just take a little bit higher instance type here. Okay, that is the reason for the DMS instance class. Okay, so we have very simple data now just for the demo. So that is the reason I just am going with the very minimum one T3 micro. Okay, this is the DMS version. You can just make it as a default one. High available, we don't require for the production workload. We are just doing for the normal cases. Okay, for the practice purpose. So I can just make it as a dev single zone. Allocated storage. This is required for the your DMS instance because DMS instance will take data from the source. Okay, he will process and during the process as a short term he will store on the here his storage part, right? And then he will migrate to transfer to your target instance, your which is your RDS. So for that it required at least some sort of storage space. So when I work in the real time in the past organization, so we number of time face these issues during the initial phase of learning. Okay, so we normally take it as a 30 GB or 50 GB, something like that. But as I said, our database was very large amount of there, right? So in that case, there might be some instance failure, job failure by making like a error like disk space issue or something like that. So in that case, you can just increase this disk space. So based on the source database size, you can just consider it. So for now, we can just go with this default one and VPC where this DMS instance should present. Okay, because security group wise, we need to open the database connection, right? For the your source database and your target inbound rule. So I will go with this my customized VPC, which where I created the EC2 instance and RDS as well, right? And then in advanced setting, availability zones is fine. Security group required here for this. So I can go with this my default one, which I use normally. And maintenance, I don't require maintenance, so I can make it yes, no issues. And just create it. Okay, so this it will take some little bit time here. So meantime, what we can do is just go to this endpoint now. Okay, endpoints. Just forget about it. This is just the existing one. So now we can create new endpoint for the source database. Where our EC2 MySQL install on the EC2 instance. Okay, as a source database. And in identification, you can just add like demo db source. Okay, source engine, you can just select from here MySQL, not Aurora MySQL. Okay, it's just a normal MySQL. Now, how you want to add the credentials here, right? You want to fetch it from the secret manager, or you want to provide manually. So I can go with this manually now. And what is the server name? Server name means your IP address of the source database. EC2 instance. Okay, this one. So you can just copy this public IP. If your source database, in this case, our source database, DMS instance and RDS are in the same VPC, right? So in that case, you can use private IP address as well. Okay. So for now, I'm just using public IP here. Port number 3306 for the MySQL, right? What is the username we have created on the source database? Just go to our query and just check it here. Create user, DMS admin, right? Just copy it, paste here. What is the password we have created? A capital admin at 123, right? So that connection detail we need to give here, and that's it. And 8-point setting, which is fine. Okay, we can test this connection later. For now, just we can create it. Okay, this demo DB source created. Now let's go to create an target endpoint, which is our RDS. So now this select target endpoint. So now we have this facility available from the account itself. We can just fetch it from here, select RDS DB, and it will list your number of RDS instance. So in our case, demo DB target is our target database as RDS, and it will automatically get the identifier name, MySQL engine version. Now password I will provide manually here. Server name, it will automatically take the host address, port number, and the username. Okay. So from where we get the password, we can get the password from secret manager, because during the RDS instance, we select that option, right? If you remember. So now we can just go to secret manager and just check our endpoint demo DB target, right? This one. So let me open that secret manager, and secret value, just click on retrieve secret value. So we will get the password here. Okay. Username and password. So I can just simply copy this password and add here. And that's it. Now delete. Okay, now one more thing required that I already set up. That is the reason I haven't show you. But in your case, DMS instance, okay, DMS instance will send access request to your source database, right? And also send access request to your target database. That means we have created one database DMS instance here, which will get one IP address. That IP address we can open connection as an inbound in target as well as source. Just make a note of this, okay? So for the security connection, sorry, firewall rule. So what we can do is, can go our DMS instance. It's still in creation progress. We need to wait some couple of minutes here. This is VPC basically. And you can see for the existing one, this kind of IP address you will get. So we can just wait a couple of minutes here to make it available. So meantime, I will just quickly show you the security group. Okay. So this is our target RDS instance. So you can just quickly go to your security group. Okay. And just Go to inbound rule, click on edit, and just check the MySQL port number, this one. So for now, just for the practical purpose, I just make it 00. But in your case, or in the real-time scenario, so we instead of making it 00 because that is very risky. Just we are doing practical, so just and demo. So I just make it 00 here. But in the real-time situation, once demo replica instance is ready, we will get IP address like this. You can use this IP address to open the firewall request. Okay, instead of 00, you can just add the IP address here for the MySQL database connection. Okay, same thing for your EC2 instance security group as well. Here also you need to go and just open the security group and open the inbound rule for the DMS instance. Okay, and once we're done with that, then we can go to our DMS task and we can just test the connection. This is our source. It's still in progress. Normally it takes some time. So let's wait some. Any questions between?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
So meantime, what we can do is, let me open the RDS in separate. This is our target instance, right? So I can just add the connection in the my. I hope you have this MySQL workbench on your local machine where we can connect the database. So you can just, after installation, you can just open and just click on this plus icon to add the new connection. So I can just give the name like demo db target RDS host name. Instead of IP address, you can just paste this connection endpoint. Port number fine. Username is admin. And from the secret manager, we can just copy the password. This one. Copy this. Click on the store password. Yes. And test the connection. Okay. Once that is done, you can just open it. As of now, you can see there is no database available, right? Apart from this system. So we will verify this after the database migration happen. So let me verify this. I hope it's almost ready now. It's taking too much time. Okay. So when you do this real-time job for this migration, so you might get some sort of troubleshooting as well there. Like it might because of any connection issues or any wrong settings you have selected. So it might the result of the failure of the jobs. So based on this logs, so you can just troubleshoot it accordingly. So there are number of times. So based on my experience in the last organization, so one thing is like related to DMS replication instance. If you select the lower disk space, that might be one of the reason for the job failure. If your source database is larger. Second thing is like there might be connection related issues in the DMS job. Okay, if you haven't opened properly security group firewall rules or something like that, that could be the issue. Third thing is like related to DMS task job configuration. That could be the one of the issue. If you select any wrong settings or that not available. Apart from these, you have to also consider that some sort of the limitation on the DMS side. There are lots of limitations there. So today morning, I just share one link with you. You can definitely refer that. Okay, I have added this in the documentation. Apart from that, let me just quickly share this DMS docs limitation. Every source endpoint like MySQL, MySQL, or the other database, they have their own limitation. So you can just go with this documentation if you want to read or more about the limitation. Okay, database. Anyways, what we can do is here. So this will take some time, but I have one more ADB, sorry, DMS instance is available here, so I can use this for time being now. So there is no issue because both are same version and the details. So I can quickly, what I can do is now here, go to endpoint, right? This one, demo DB source, select it from the action, paste the connection. Okay, select your replica instance and just run it. So it will check basically connectivity from your database DMS instance to your source database. If he properly open the firewall rules in the security group, then he will make it as a successful connection here. See, so status is successfully, right? Same thing for the target. We can just select it, action, test connection, select our demo DMS, run it, test. Okay. See, both are successfully. Now go to our database migration task and create one new task here, right? Give the task name like demo DB replication, for example. And here select the replica instance, demo DMS, source endpoint. We have this demo DB source endpoint, which we configured. Target one, select our demo DB target, right? Here is that option. If you want to migrate existing data one time only, or migrate existing data and then or live replications, okay, incremental changes, which we discussed. So for now, I can go with this migrate one time full data, okay. And here target table preparation, do nothing. because if you select this drop on the table, so on the target machine, I mean your RDS instance, it will drop the table. So that we don't require. You can just select the do nothing, and these are the by default one. If you want to enable the logs, you can just enable by just clicking this. For now, I can just skip it. I will go with this default settings now. Here is the source selection rule. Means from the source, which database or table you want to migrate, right? Enter schema, and here what database we have created on the source. If you remember this one, right? DB migration on the source database. I can just copy here simply, paste here. Okay. So it will take the data from all the database from this DB migration database. Table can be anything. Okay. There might be multiple tables. So we can just make it as a percent mark here. So all the number of tables it will automatically fetch. Okay. That
Sir,
is the only.
what if there is a multiple databases?
So in that case, you can add more selection rule here.
Okay.
So whatever the, let's say you have 5 database, so you can add a new rules for that. Okay, so you can just make it. But selection rule will be like this, like enter a schema name here, and you can just add the your database name here. And table name can be anything in that particular database. Okay. If you want to exclude any particular table, so you can just mark it as exclude. But for now, we want to migrate, so that is the reason we can add it here, include. Okay, that is the only selection rule. And if you want to add more database, you can just simply click on this add new selection rule, and you can do the same process, right? And this setting I don't require. This is just to verification for the connectivity, so that I don't require. Migration task startup configuration, it will automatically run as soon as he created. Okay, and just simply create job. So it will take a little bit time here to load the job, create and load. But meantime, what I can do is, so I can just show you this existing which one same configuration I did in the today morning. Okay, so DB sync, you can see the status like this, load table like that. In the table statistics, you can see the details, table name which migrated, then how many records migrated, right? 3 records. So on the target, how we can verify? So I have already added the connection here on the MySQL. This one, right? So same, whatever the things we have set up, same setup. I already today morning tested this. So nothing, any changes here. Okay. So after the migration, you will see the database like this. DB migration, same data. If you expand it and expand the table, you can see the student name. If you click on and right click, select, you will see these 3 records here. John Smith, and Alice. So after this, job execution complete. So that is the simple process. I mean the process to configure the migration job. And you can see that's automatically it's starting. So it's running now. Any doubts till now? We are almost completed now for this migration job. See, on our new RDS, their database is here, right? So we have successfully migrated our source database by using DMS on the target RDS. And this load is completed now, you can see. If I refresh here, you will see all the settings. So let me just reconnect again this database. The table student name. So this is our new RDS instance. So same process, we can just achieve it. So that's all for the today's session. Any